You're listening to Love, Guns and Freedom with Luca Zanna on United States.fm network. Here we go, guys. You're listening to Love, Guns and Freedom on K-Talks 1340 AM and on United States.fm network. You know what? I really love doing this show. At the beginning, when they gave me this opportunity, I said, you know what? People doesn't even understand what I'm saying. Please, don't play with me. But you know what? I took it as an opportunity, as a duty, as a new American. And my only goal here is to completely stand up and try to share the values of this republic, the Second Amendment, the Bill of Rights. Try to share this information not just with us in America, but with the rest of the world. Because I think these are human rights that belong to everybody out there. And I think the best way we can inspire our way of life, it is not just going around the world, but try to show that in our country we still have rights that nobody else has. I mean, think about it. I mean, look, in Paris, what happened? You know, people are like a bunch of sheep. Seriously, I don't want to offend people, but that's the truth. That's the reality of hundreds of years of kings and princes and lords and slaves. Since the Roman times, slaves, they were never armed. That's the bottom line. And guess what? In America, in 1775, we decided we are nobody's slaves. There are no more kings, no more queens. We are human beings, and we have, rights. Inalienable. If you don't want to believe in God, that's fine, but they are God-given rights in my book. And the bottom line, among those, we have the right to defend freedom and to defend our life. That's the bottom line. You know, when I talk about Second Amendment intentionally, I never talk about sports. I don't talk about hobbies. For hobbies, I cook pasta. That's what I do. But when it comes down to guns and rifles, for me, it's about a matter of freedom. And I really think the most important thing we can do here to defend the values of America is to train and educate the next generation. Because after all, one day we're going to be dead. We're going to be old. If we don't have enough people, young people out there that continue the struggle for our republic, we will lose it. And that's exactly these bastards are trying to do. You know, they are controlling the school system. They are controlling the media. They're controlling the music, the arts. They try to brainwash our youth. They want to completely castrated, emaciated, people that cannot even understand what they lost because they never had the chance to understand it. Maybe their mother could not have the chance to even educate them. That's why when I see, young men, like this young man that now, of course, I'm not going to have on the show. He's too young. He's only 5, but I have his father. And I'm so proud that I was able to find him and this video of him. Bottom line, there is this little video on running around Facebook of the 5-year-old young man. I call him a young man because he really acts like a young man. He doesn't act like a little child, okay? With the supervision of his father, of course, performing incredible dry practice drills that I tell you, that's probably, I was so impressed and it almost made me cry. I know many liberals say, you must be crazy. Yes, whatever. I get emotional things like this. And I want to say, I wanted to bring the father in because that's, for me, exactly where we're going to win this battle. We're going to have family. And, of course, many of these bastards hate the word family because they want always, the mother by herself. So the child is going to be probably in some re-education camp or public school. But when we have a father and a mother together, or at least a father that is behind his sons and daughters and try to train him with safety, first of all, that's number one. Because I tell you, even if you don't like guns, guess what? The point is you want to know how the gun works. Because one day maybe at school some kid is going to bring a gun that's supposed not to bring. At least, if you have that type of knowledge, you can save the day. You can be sure that nobody gets shot, So the point is education is the number one weapon we have to be safe. And then, of course, training, because one day you'll never know. Like happened like just a few days ago, a 13-year-old young man defended himself against 2 felons, tried to break in his house. The mother wasn't there, and he was able to have access to his mother's gun, and he was able to defend himself, and he shot one of these bastards, and one died. I'm sorry he died, but not really, because he deserved it, He's supposed not to come there and try to break into people's homes, especially when he's a young man, like a 13-year-old guy, is there by himself. So guess what? That's the spirit of 1776. The person that I have today, I have the honor to have with me, his name is Joede Vanek from Las Vegas, Nevada, that it is not just a father, but also is a firearm instructor, and I want to bring him here, support him in every way I can. More important, to share this story with him. Joede, are you there?
I'm here, Luca.
Nice to meet you again. And first of all, please introduce yourself, who you are, if you are, your background briefly, where you're from, and if you are into veterans or whatever you do in your life.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I actually live in Las Vegas. I'm a retired policeman from Las Vegas.
Wow.
I retired about 10 years ago. God blessed my life, and I retired with 20 years. And I then moved up north and was kind of enjoying my life, but God had a different plan for my life, and the recession kind of wiped out all my finances. But I had the opportunity. I went and did training. I worked as the operations manager for a security company in Abu Dhabi, in the UAE.
Okay.
And I was there for about a year and a half, building actually what they're touting as the world's largest SWAT team. They're shooting for a 200-man SWAT team there.
Okay.
And then just before we left for Abu Dhabi, we got a surprise, and that was my son Wyatt, which is God's greatest gift to all of us, our children.
Mm-hmm.
And when we left Abu Dhabi, we came back, I'm fortunate. We saved up enough money. I have a good pension from the police department, and I just spend most of my time with my wife and child. And then in June of 2014, there were a couple policemen and a young civilian that were shot to death on, I believe it was June 14th of 2014.
Wow.
The two policemen were sitting in a pizza shop, and this young couple walked in on them and gunned down both policemen. Didn't say a word to them. They just gunned them down and killed them, and they took their guns, and I believe they took their badges too, walked across the street into a Walmart.
Yes, I remember that. Yes. Go ahead, please.
They had separated a little, so the man fired around into the ceiling and told everybody to get out. And this young man, I believe his name's Joseph Wilcox, he walked out of the store with his friend. He was a concealed weapons carrier, and he walked back into the store, most likely to prevent a mass shooting. And when he pulled his gun, he didn't realize that the woman was with the man, and she shot him one time and killed him.
Yes, and that's so important you brought it up, because, something normally during this hour, we just don't talk about Second Amendment rights as a philosophy, as a right, from also a political point of view, but also as a practical drills. And of course, I'm not an instructor. I cannot give over the radio all the information you could give in person. But one thing we try to do, I talk about things that can be visualized. For example, the after action drill, when we are all full of adrenaline and all we do, we focus in front of our front sight, and of course, our target, our opponent normally is in front of us, but then we forget to scan the 360 degrees. So that's something, I'm glad you brought it up, because this is something that I would like to bring up after our interview, or even during with you, we can talk about that. So please continue the story. This is very dramatic what you're talking about. Go ahead.
So actually, for anybody that's interested in that horrific event, the police department has now released to the public I believe it's on the internet. You can see some of the video, and you can see where this young man went in. Mr. Wilcox went in after the shooter, and he just passes the woman and walks just feet past her as she's pushing a shopping cart, and goes to confront him, and is shot from behind. So
yes, very sad. A good person was trying to do his part, but bless his heart, he couldn't. Maybe I don't say that we could avoid it, but sometimes training for sure can get you the edge, because the problem is when we are like completely under stress. Better than me. You've been a policeman. On the street, you go by your training. At that point, you go on autopilot. You don't think anymore. If you think, you're already 1 second behind. You gotta follow your training. And for what I understand, maybe this young man, he should have gone through, maybe some basic after-action drill, at least to scan his 360 degrees. But that's why I'm so glad that you're training your son so young. Tell me a little bit, first of all, about your son. I don't want to say much because he's a minor, but, you put it out there. What is his first name, if we can say that?
Sure. Actually, his name is Wyatt.
Wyatt.
He's a little over 5 years. He turned 5 this year in July.
Perfect name, by the way. You know that. Tombstone. Anyway, tell me a little bit. When did you start to training? Because what I see in this video, first of all, tell me about this video, because I will post it on lovegunsfreedom.com so everybody can see it and judge with their own eyes and their brain if this is something so bad, like some media try to point it out. But let's first of all try to figure it out. What exactly is doing your son in this little video?
Well, actually, what's interesting, we're just doing a magazine drill there, and we're working together.
Mm-hmm.
And the video we shot, the fact that it went viral, it's got over 8.5 million views right now on Facebook.
Wow, that
was a shock. It's not what we intended to do. We had made the video. Actually, it was just my wife videoing some of the basic training I do with my child, just in firearm safety and manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a post on this gentleman who had manufactured a custom holster and magazine carrier for my son, and we posted it on his page. That just so people would see what kind of products he made, and that he was a good guy. And
wow,
it just took off from there. It's totally crazy. It was total fluke.
He got a good ad out of that. That was a good marketing stuff. Amazing. 8.5 million of viewers. You know what? I'm loving it for many levels. Because first of all, I must tell you, something like that really shows that regardless what they're trying to do to us, the spirit of freedom, the spirit of our Second Amendment is still alive because of men and women like your family, like yourself and your lady. Because, you know, I'm sure that your lady is behind you. I mean, otherwise, I don't think you could do all this by yourself. But also, you know, you're able to train and educate your son on the safety. Because I tell you, one thing I watching the video, I realized that this young man, your son, Wyatt, is first of all, he doesn't act like a kid. This is not a game. This is not like he's shooting at, you know, with the Star Wars gun, okay? He knows that this is a real gun, even if it's unloaded, and is acting professionally. Amazing. I can't believe it how a 5-year-old can be so mature in some ways, but he really understands the responsibility and also the potential danger that he has. Finger trick, I mean, I can see also the finger, how he put it out, and he's doing incredible good isosceles position, you know, stance, and an emergency reload. I invite everybody out there. I wish that 90% of the regular gun owners that they carry the gun in the daily life, and they think they got so much, they're so good. I don't think they could do, you know, a dry practice drill, at least an emergency reload as this young man. So that's excellent. I give you 100 points on that out of 10. Okay, so pretty much tell me, after you post this video, just to try to, you know, show the beautiful little custom holster that I like very much, by the way, what happened to you? Who contacted you?
Well, I have to say, you know, it was interesting. Like I said, we just posted it on a website to help a friend that had built this great gear, and within a few hours when we went to bed that night, I noticed that there were 12,000 people looking at this video. And then in the morning, about 6:30 in the morning, my phone was beeping, and I got up and there were 84,000. By noon, there were 500,000, and by about 11 o'clock at night, there were 2 million viewers in the first.
Don't forget to monetize, okay? I'm sure you're already familiar with that, okay? You can probably buy a couple extra guns with all these viewers. Continue, please.
Well, you know, I hope something like that will come across, you know, but, you know, it's really interesting. My company, you know, I founded my company this year because of that shooting of the 2 policemen and Mr. Wilcox.
Yes.
And it's because, you know, I don't know that actually anybody could have done anything different. The policemen were taken completely by surprise and shot at point blank.
Yeah.
Mr. Wilcox, if you watch the video, he could have hung back, but if you watch him walk past the woman, the only thing, if you watch the video, you can see that the woman is calmly walking with her shopping cart.
Yeah.
Everyone else in the store is running. So really, there is something he could have picked up on, but, you know, he probably had tunnel vision. He was going after the man with the gun, and it wasn't a mass shooting.
Yeah.
I think that if the gentleman would have been shooting actively people, he would have just engaged him.
Yes, you're
so
right.
It's kind of a really sad affair, because I think that because he the shooter wasn't actively shooting, he was probably going to try to get him to drop the gun. So he seems like a good man, and it was just an error that I believe anybody could make. But I'll tell you can really learn from that.
Yes.
Unfortunately, 3 men had to lose their life. Of course, the 2 shooters ended up being killed. I believe they killed themselves after being wounded by police in the store.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, this is something that, you know, listen, this man, young man, he had a great heart, number one. I mean, and many other people, they would have run. He was trying to do the right thing, and he did the right thing. But the point is, sometimes when you find yourself in those situations, you realize that how much we are humans, And as you said, this was not an active shooter situation that you can see somebody, jumping into the, I don't know, in the hotel room or into a big restaurant with an AK-47. This was kind of different. They were like low key somehow. And sometimes it's hard to decide that when you have to pull the trigger, when it's not just so black and white, So I tell you, that's something, but we still can learn. I agree with you. We can watch the video, and I watched a few times, and this is something we should really, unfortunately, visualize, because it can happen to any one of us, So listen, tell me about the love mails or the love messages, after you post the video of your son, Wyatt, doing incredible good dry practice, safe drills with the, with the gun. By the way, which gun is he using right now in that video?
Actually, in that video, it's a pistol we had just bought a month or two ago because it fits well into a child's hand. It's actually a Browning 1911/22 in 22 caliber.
Wow, yeah, it fits very well. I was pretty impressed the way, it fits for his small hands, but it looks very balanced, and it looks like it is not just some minigun. It looks the perfect gun for his hands. Pretty amazing. So anyway, and he was doing this, the video went viral. I'm sure you got a lot of good compliments, and maybe I'm sure you got also some propaganda out there to try to make you look like an evil father. Tell me exactly what type of hate mail or context you have that was kind of disturbing, maybe from our point of view.
Well, I can tell you, I'd like to start with the positive, and the positive is, statistically, I don't know the exact number, but I would believe that 98% of the people were positive. And, it seems strange now. It seems that it seems maybe, I don't know who puts it out. We all have an idea who puts things out, but you would think there would be a much larger mass number of people that would be negative about the comments. But most of the comments, probably 98%, are positive. They loved it. They want to know how to train their children. And I make a few comments out there. But you had asked earlier actually about training with Wyatt. Wyatt is 5 now, but Wyatt, it's funny. Wyatt actually got his first toy gun from a Santa Claus in the facility where we lived. We lived in a big, beautiful hotel, and when we were in Abu Dhabi, in Santa Claus, it was the Santa Claus that gave Wyatt his first little toy pistol.
Wow, very good. And how old he was when you gave him that?
Oh, he was just a few months old. Santa gave him a wrapped present, and when we went up to the room, we laughed because, of course, I've been into guns my whole life, so we laughed. He got his first pistols from Santa Claus.
Wow, that's excellent idea. So if you are a father and maybe your child is just born in a few months, buy him a nice gift now with the joy to envision when he's going to grow up, and he's going to remember that you were thinking about him when he couldn't walk. So I think it's a great thing. I'm very glad. And now tell me something. Is your child, what I'm really concerned here, is one thing, and I want to tell you something from my heart. It is not just the hateful people out there that don't mind their business and they tell you how you should educate your child. What I'm concerned is that 3 Magic Letters agency that I'm sure you're familiar since also you are in the law enforcement. It's called Child Protective Service. That unfortunately they really, live out of another reality. There's not anymore under basic Bill of Rights or Constitution of due process. They do things according to how they feel, especially with judges. You ever thought about the risk to face such people? I mean, because after all, they can say that you are not fit. Depends in which type of a part of the world you live. Maybe Las Vegas and Nevada, it's a good area where people understand the Second Amendment and you're a responsible person, they can see that. But if you were doing that probably in California, I wouldn't be surprised that maybe that you had a visit, at least from the Child Protective Service, to see what you're doing with your son. You ever thought about that?
I actually, I'm not too concerned about that. I never was. Now, of course, when I started getting very negative comments from some people, there were people, from saying Child Protective Services should be at my house, and then there was actually, I'm not going to say their name on air because I don't want to give them any credit, but there was an anti-gun coalition on Facebook that posted it. And they also posted both the personal Facebook pages of my wife and myself, trying to get us to be harassed, of course.
Wow.
And on there made comments saying that they hoped my son killed both of us and then killed himself. So
Wow. This is so bad. This is so evil. I'm telling you, these people are supposed to be for non-violence. This is, what the heck? Just, wow, I'm shocked.
What's interesting, Luca, is that and I posted back to a lot of people. And I should say, too, that because you had asked earlier, and I was probably a little forgetful, but, my son has had toy guns. Like I said, Santa Claus gave him something when he was a few months old and wasn't even capable of understanding anything. But what I did is, as he grew up, after about, he would play with his toy guns. Well, I would play with him. He wanted me to play with him. Well, of course, being a firearms guy, I would just teach him to finger index and not to cover with the muzzle. And what I realized over the years, everything he did was normal to me, but it was when friends got around him in the last year or so, they were so impressed with the way he handled just his toy guns. I mean, he could do magazine changes, and it's just really, I have some great videos of him. We're going to come out with more, but he's actually been training with toy firearms, and then we graduated to airsoft guns, and now he's finally touching his first real pistol. He's beautiful. He's just a beautiful kid.
You know what I want to tell you? One thing I really realized, beside the gun part, the training, what I noticed just the way he moves, and I invite everybody to watch this video, and I'll play now, even you can watch it, because it's on the radio. He does not act anymore like, I'm sure he's a child, and, he got his moment of child, and probably sometimes, he wants to do child things. But when he has that gun in his hands, he's acting like a grown-up man, seriously. And I tell you, that for me probably is one of the best part how a development of a child could be. Because I tell you, as I said, even if you're not into guns, even if you think people, maybe you don't want to have a gun in your house before your choice, whatever. Think though, this child one day in schools or maybe with friends is going to face situations that somebody is going to bring the gun when supposed not to have it. And to have education could save life. Even just the way you handle it. I mean, I go to train at front sight, okay? I'm a life member. I'm sure you're familiar with that. You're not that far from there. And I was listening to a story during one of these classes, and there was an accident. It wasn't an accident. It was an act of negligence, unfortunately. What happened in a school a few years ago, a young man, probably 12 or 11 years old, brought a gun into school because, just because nobody told him, probably nobody really gave him the right straight education like you're giving to your child. But regardless, he brought his gun and he showed it to the teacher. The teacher didn't know anything about a gun, and she thought though that just removing the magazine, the gun is going to be safe. They forgot about chamber check. The first thing you do when you handle a gun to somebody, you chamber check to be sure it's really empty. Guess what? Unfortunately, the gun was all done by a child. Meanwhile, the teacher was calling 911. And of course, the little child forgets, maybe nobody told him, don't put the finger on the trigger. So boom. And one person, one little baby, one little innocent child died. What if instead of being, for example, the child that didn't have any type of education, especially at 12, you should supposed to already know these things, especially when, you somebody like yourself can train your children. Say, hey, wait a second, teacher. Yeah, you removed the magazine, but we got to check the chamber. And right there, we could have saved a life. So I say education in everything, even if you don't like, the guns, I think you should have some sort of almost mandatory. I don't like the word mandatory. I'm for freedom. But the point is, this is a safety issue. You really can save people's life, So anyway, I'm glad that you're bringing up your child in such a beautiful way. I'm telling you, I'm very moved, and this is great. Let me see if I can play 1 second the audio. I know it does not give justice, but let's see if this little video works. 1 second, okay?
Watch there.
Okay.
On. Out.
Nice.
Dump it. Magazine.
There we go.
Drop it. Back it. Dump it. Magazine. Drop it. Back it. Dump it.
There we go. That was a beautiful emergency reload, dry practice. Of course, no ammo. I tell you, some children at 5 years old, they barely can feed themselves. And I'm not trying to be mean. It's true, I see some people that really, my gosh, I feel sorry for their sons. This guy, wow. It was worth to watch it. All I say, this is great. And I want to say another thing. On my show, I like to promote businesses and people who do their best to try to share and continue the heritage that we have, and the right is not just an heritage, also is our right of the Second Amendment. And you're not my sponsor. You don't need me. Of course, you got already your 8.5 million promotion, much more than what I could offer you as a radio station. But regardless, I want to give you 1 minute. You can say everything you want about your business and introduce yourself and how people can contact you. Go ahead.
Well, Luca, I just want to say I appreciate the time to do this. Really, the message I just want to send out to people is that, guns aren't a negative thing. People looked at that video and they immediately jump to violence, and I'm teaching my child violence. Why don't I teach him to box? Well, boxing is violence. Guns aren't violent. Guns can be shooting sports. It's just my kid enjoying his interest, and fortunately for him, his father is experienced in that interest. But my business is actually, the name of it is Vanek International. I have a Facebook page. I'd love for everybody to visit it and like it, share it. We put a lot of safety tips on there. I have a lot more videos coming of Wyatt. You're going to really be impressed. He's awesome. We have a video of him clearing a house with a toy gun, and he's just a really awesome kid. And most of all, I'm pro-Constitution, and I love the country, and I love all the people in it. I wish we could all get together on things like firearms and not villainize them.
Perfect. And I would like to say one thing. You brought the word violence. I always believe that when a law-abiding person, carry a gun, he does not carry a gun to kill, but we carry a gun to save lives. That's the bottom line. And that people, they don't want to understand. If that's okay, that's their problem. If they want to be stupid, that's fine with me. But the reality is this one. I do not carry a gun to take a life. I want to carry a gun because I made a decision that first of all, I don't want to see innocents dying, starting from myself, my family, or my fellow humans around me that they don't deserve to die as innocent people. And this is exactly what we need to understand. Evil is there, we like it or not. This is not a Mary Poppins movie. We can say, it doesn't exist, doesn't matter, they still come and get you if they can. And it's our duty to defend our family. It's our duty to defend, and more important, to share the skills. The gun is just a tool. It's an extension of my mindset. I can be probably, if I have to defend myself, I'll use my teeth if I don't have a gun. It's the mindset the most important thing. But the point is, it's a good tool. Because as you see in the article that I was talking to you before, a 13-year-old young man, alone in his house, I think it was South Carolina, he was able to fence and defend himself against two felons. They were trying to break into his house. Maybe one day, I hope never going to happen to your son, but for God's will, he has to stay home, and somebody's trying to break in his house. I wish him well. Okay, that's the bottom line. The point is you give him at least a chance to be not a victim, and that's priceless. And more important, at the end of the day, we know the Second Amendment wasn't about self-defense. It's about, as free human beings, we have the right to defend our republic and our freedom, because we are not subjects. That's the bottom line. Listen, I consider you a brother in freedom if I never met you, and I want to prove the point that, sometimes, we say, the cops lately, they're getting a bad raps. I understand there is a new type of generation of police. Unfortunately, there's been a federal trained, and, they forget about the Constitution Bill of Rights. But when I see people like you, that you are a peace officer, you are a policeman, give me a lot of hope. Because I think, you understand the Second Amendment, and now today you're back, in the general population, but you were one of them. And I'm sure, people like you don't change. That's the bottom line. You are now what you were before. So I'm glad that also you serve as a policeman out there. And I hope more people like you will serve as a peace officers in our communities.
Well, Luca, I just like to say I appreciate you saying that. I want to commend all the men and women in law enforcement. They're all my brothers and sisters. There's a lot of great people out there. I just can't commend them enough for the things they do for the community. I think, unfortunately, in civilian life, people don't always understand what it's like to be in law enforcement. And I think they're just doing a great job, and I wish the community would stand behind them and always give them the chance to explain themselves and what they've done. And sometimes you're still not going to understand what they've done. But anyway, I appreciate this again, Luca. Just to finish up, too, I'd just like to say I actually contacted the NRA this morning, and it sounds to me like they're really going to get behind this video and what we're trying to do with the company, which really excites me. I've been an NRA member, a life member for, I think, 20, 25 years, and a member for almost 30 or 35.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a great thing. But thanks again for having me on the radio, and I appreciate it.
Please be in touch, okay? And if whenever I come around Las Vegas, I can give. I don't know, where do you train? You have a range where you like to go? You have a place that you go to shoot?
Yeah, I have a range that I go to privately, and then I can train at a couple of the public ones. So I'm just kind of all around town, but I'd love to get together whenever you came out here.
I would love to one time to shoot with you and your son. That would be my honor, okay?
Oh, that would be awesome.
Thank you. Okay, guys, don't go away. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom. This is the second hour, all about guns, rights, and training.
He's a songwriter, a poet, a rifleman.
I'm not afraid.
And a constitutional activist.
I'm not afraid.
Italian by birth.
I'm not afraid.
American by choice. Gianluca Zanna.
I'm not afraid.
And his new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom. 16 powerful songs on one CD from the heart of a patriot. For download or to order the CD, go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. That's www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Lyrics for your mind, music for your heart. Gianluca Zanna's new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom.
Here we go, guys. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom, second hour. This is the second part of the second hour. It's all about guns. You know what? I just realized I even didn't plug any of my promotion. I told you many times, this show for me is an act of love. I don't do this because I want to become a radio star or because this is my job. Seriously, I can do so many other things. Normally, I do many things. I don't need anything. And for sure, I don't need to be on the radio. But I took, as I said, as an act of love. All I'm trying to do, my little part, okay? And I need help too. At the end of the day, times I realize that I'm putting more hours than I thought. 3 hour show, finding the guest and looking for things and software and producing. I do everything by myself, okay? And I could dedicate many of these hours doing my business, okay? Especially now with this economy, probably I should put more effort in my business. But I'm doing this because I really feel that is the right thing to do. I need your little help. Normally, as I said many times, I don't count on commercial sponsors because I don't want to go out there and then being told what I can say or what cannot say. I want to be here and, first of all, this is your show. This is about freedom of speech. We can talk about things that just thinking, for example, like in Europe, we could be arrested. This is still America. But even in America, there are some commercial rules. Sometimes, you got to play the game. Guess what? I'm not going to play any game because I don't need it. I'm here because I want to be and completely be exactly honest to the things I believe they're important. The truth, number one. And if I'm wrong, I tell you, I'm sorry. So I'm not here to be right. Now, I need your help. And you know what? I'm not asking for charities. I'm not asking for, donations. No. I give you the opportunity to get something in exchange for just 99 cents. Think about 99 cents. If I'm not worth the price of a coffee, probably, you know what? I'm not worth even to be listened to. If you care about what I'm trying to do, all you have to do is go to Zannart, ZANNAART.com, or go to lovegunsfreedom.com. There is a music section, or go to Zanna, ZANNA.us, Zanna.us. You can find any of my songs for just 99 cents. Just 99 cents. So everywhere you are in the world, you don't even need to say, okay, I need to have the shipping or something. No, it comes automatically to your emails. Okay? And you can find me, of course, on Amazon, on iTunes, everywhere. That's one of the way I make my life. I pay my bills. This is not NPR. If you're in America, you know what it means. National Public Radio, that they extort your money through the tax dollars, these parasite leeches. That's what they are. And always at the little voice, like, oh, this is NPR. I mean, why they screw your pocket, fist with both hands. Anyway, back to the show. Second hour. This is about guns. I want to go back a little bit onto the training part. We were listening before. We were listening and talking to this gentleman from Las Vegas, a former policeman. And I'm so glad that he's doing what he's doing with his son, training him at such a young age. At least one thing he's accomplishing is making understanding to this young man The gun is not a toy, but it's a tool that can be very dangerous, and start to teach them at least the safety aspect. That's number one thing. Now let's talk about the training part. There is one thing that most of the shooters out there on the range I never seen performing, because unfortunately it is something that we don't train unless you go to dedicated schools, like I had the privilege to go. The point is, under stress, our body starts to react in a very funny way. Normally, if we go to the range and we shoot with friends and there is nobody throwing lead at us and nobody shooting back, everything is fine. This is not the real world. The real world, that you're going to be probably sweaty, you're going to be probably freaking out, you're going to be so full of adrenaline that, my gosh, and it's called tunnel vision. Your body automatically will focus all the attention to the threat that is in front of you most of the times. And the rest of the world almost disappears. And then everything starts to slow down. The problem is, tunnel vision, it can be important because it's a natural reflex of our body, because at the end of the day, it's trying to focus on our main threat, but also can be very deadly, because then we forget of the rest of, let's say, 360 degrees, or at least a big part of our, back. And then what happens? That happens that you don't know that, normally, maybe rats walk in pack. Evil people, maybe they're more than one. Most of the time they go together. So we need to start to incorporate in our drills, I don't care if you have a rifle, shotgun, or handgun, what we call the after-action drills. If you ever heard about that, please take notes, okay? And I remind you, I am not an instructor. I'm not here to teach you. I'm just telling you to give you some input. And hopefully you can find a place, a school, an instructor in your area can give you some help. That's what I'm trying to do. But, at the same time, I must tell you, I'm also a distinguished graduate at Frontside, Nevada, and I've done this many times. Now, let's talk about this after-action drill. As I said, no matter what you're shooting, it's the same concept. Okay, let's say you engage your adversary. You give him let's say with a handgun. You shoot him, he's down on the floor. You think he's gone. Are you sure? Maybe not. Maybe he's faking it. Okay, number one, we need to start to think that now all this adrenaline, all this focus, all this tunnel vision, we must be training automatically to get away from it. So first thing we do, you start to have quick left, quick right, or left or right or left, doesn't matter, scan. You want to completely remove your focus just from that opponent that now supposedly is laying down on the ground. So quick scan, left and right. So we try to remove ourselves from the state of tunnel vision. At that point, you move off the line of fight, line of fire. In the real world, you would run behind cover. On the range, you're gonna just probably make just one step left or right to simulate that process. Okay, so quick scan left or right and move one step or two steps if you're on the range. And if you are in a big range, maybe put some sort of realistic cover and go behind cover. From that position of cover, that's very important. You don't want to be there static, because at the point, if you're static, you are completely a target. So you move, and when you're there from the position of cover, at that point you go back on focusing on that threat, on your adversary, on your opponent, on that scumbag that's supposedly supposed to be, sinking in his own blood. And I'm not trying to be graphic, but if somebody's trying to shoot you and kill you in army, yes, you want to stop the threat, and better him than you. That's the bottom line. So what you do, you count 1001, 1002, 1003. Meanwhile, your gun or your rifle, it's on the ready, finger off the trigger. That means it's about 45 degrees down. But you're watching, you're looking at your threat. You want to be sure that there's no faking it, because that's very dangerous. Sometimes they could fake it. You turn your back and they shoot you in the back. So you want to be sure that it's really down, because maybe you just shot him on his leg. Maybe you just broke his femur. But guess what? That would be very dangerous. An adversary on the floor, on a solid position, shooting position, he can shoot you back and even be more accurate. So you want to be sure behind cover that is really down. It doesn't breathe, it doesn't move, it's there. okay? At that point, immediately after, you incorporate the scanning the rest of your environment. We're talking about the rest of 360 degrees. So always with your gun or rifle or shotgun on the ready, finger off the trigger, you turn around on the ready, 45 degrees. You don't want to point the muzzle to the innocent bystanders. And what do? You want to be sure that there are no other bad guys coming behind you. That's very important. Now, this is just, my 2 cents version of dry practice drill. Dry practice, the after action drill. Try to incorporate it. You don't even need to have a gun to do it. You can do it with empty hands. Simulate that you have a handgun. You can do also at home. But do it. Normally, I like to do this every time I finish my shooting session or dry practice or live fire practice. Doesn't matter. I always incorporate that. Now, another thing to do when you finish your, after action drill, always perform a tactical reload. Maybe you say, what is a tactical reload? Sounds like a big word, but it's just what it is. Probably you spent 2 or 3 rounds, maybe 4 rounds. You don't know. Under stress, you don't know. The point is, now in the moment of a lull of a fight, that means they are not shooting it back at you. Everybody's gone. So hopefully you are behind cover. In that moment of calm, and hopefully relatively safety, at that point, instead of just leaving the magazine in your gun partially spent, why don't you just put a fresh one inside? So you have the tactical advantage that your gun is top off. In case more bad people coming out, you have at least all the rounds that you can put in that gun. Tactical reload, that's what it is. Exchanging a fresh magazine with the one that you partially used. Now, I'm not going to go here exactly how to do it in this segment, but if you go to my website, handguntraining.tv, join my newsletter. And by the way, there are free videos, and I have also my book coming out in a few weeks, okay? And it covers all these things with photos, and the book is so affordable, $1.99, the ebook. And I think I'm going to give them for free on my website, handguntraining.tv, because I'm also getting sponsors. So I'm trying to do my best. My only goal here, as I told you, I would like to have every law-abiding person, not just in America, I wish in the world. If these freaking tyrannical governments are out there, unfortunately, every government that denies the right to the people to defend themselves, you are tyrannical. That's the point. Was before with the British when they were here in the colonies, and of course it is everywhere around the world, because now the point is the governments of the world, they don't give you, the point is supposed to work for you. Instead, we work for the government. And even in America, of course, but at least people before us, 240 years ago, during the Revolutionary War, we fought, our founding fathers fought, and we were able for a moment to make an accomplishment. Government they don't give us any rights. We have rights. Now, unfortunately, the rest of the world will realize the difference between America, what's supposed to be, and what is the rest of the world. Government give you privileges. So even in Switzerland, that is a great country, in my opinion, at least better than European countries, if you want to have a gun, you must ask for a permit. In many countries, that's the normal. But for example, here in Arizona or other states like Arizona, it's our right. I don't need to ask any stinking permit when I go get my guns. I can buy a gun at the store like I can buy a pair of shoes. Okay? And also to carry it. But this is Arizona. But regardless, wherever you are, my dream would be that every law-abiding person could have their right to self-defense. Now, talking for American people, because this is now mostly where these laws applies, or at least it's easier. I wanted to, talk about a gun that I already talked many times, but I would like to articulate a little better a couple of things. First of all, about modifications. It's the Glock. The Glock 17 or Glock 22, if you want to choose a 40 caliber. Glock 17 if you like a 9 millimeters. Or whatever Glock, normally they're all the same. Okay, unless you want to go for the micro Glocks. But the point is, there are many guns out there, okay, seriously. And don't get me wrong, everybody got their preferences. And that's great, And probably, there are many guns better than Glocks. I know that. I know for sure there are guns much more, probably better made and better looking. The point is, I'm trying to find a compromise. If I could give some sort of a 2 cents input or feedback to maybe a new person that is on a budget but wants to have a solid, reliable gun, maybe would like to buy 2 guns for the price of 1. This is just my only goal. And he would like to have also accessories that they are affordable and they are easy to find. Aftermarket accessories and magazines that you don't need to spend a fortune for each magazine. So my choice in this situation, calculating all these things, is the Glock. Now, I said, you can get whatever you want. I do not really care. I don't even get paid by Glocks, okay? So let me just check 1 second, first of all. Chamber check, mag check, removing the round. Now, here we go. This is my Glock 17 here. If I had a dream, and the dream would be every law-abiding person, man, woman, or between, I don't care if you're trans or gay, whatever, you need probably 2 guns in the case. I wish every one of you, law-abiding person out there, would have at least 1 handgun. And if that would be something, if I could give you the gun that it's easiest to train with, and also it's in compromise between, the ratio between affordability and quality, I would say a Glock. Then if you like something else, that's fine. I don't care. But now I'm focusing on the Glock. And I tell you why, with about $500, you can get an incredible gun that you can get spare parts that probably you never need. And they're not really external safeties. The only safety is your finger. So it's kind of almost working with the revolver somehow in the simplicity. Of course, it's not the revolver, it's semi-auto. You have an incredible capacity of ammunition, 70 rounds in the magazine, unless you live in states, I was almost using a bad word, messed up like California, New York, stuff like that. But for the rest of America, you can have all the rounds you need, okay, to at least have a chance to fight back evil. That's the bottom line. If cops can afford, they think that they can have 70 rounds, I think, sure, we should have 2, okay? Anyway, and it's affordable. Think about it. You can get a SIG 226, this upgraded beautiful version. They're beautiful guns, the SIG, okay? The one used by Navy SEALs. It's $1,200. And after all, it's a 9mm like the Glock. I can buy 2 Glocks with that and spare magazines. So that's my point I'm trying to make. And now, talking about magazines. Magazines are important. You want more magazine that, magazine can break. You can lose them. If you start to pay $40, $35 for a magazine, that would be too much for many people out there. Instead, with the Glock, you can get also aftermarket magazines for like $10. And I tell you also where. Go to centerfiresystems.com and you can get a Korean version that they work. Honestly, I would spend always the money for the brand, Glock brand, when I carry. But I try also this Korean, KCI, whatever they're called, like $10. Great. So that's the point. That's what I'm trying to find. The compromise that everybody, a gun that every working man can afford and can, with the relatively, of course, you need to train, but you don't need to start to focus too much on these double action, single action guns, or maybe the 1911. It's much easier, the Glock. That's my bottom line. It's accurate enough. You can do everything. With my Glock, I can shoot from standing. I don't use benches ever. Of course, even with a gun, especially with a gun. But from standing 7 yards, I can draw 1 square inch and I can put 5 rounds in that 1 square inch. Simply. Regular Glock, standard trigger, no work, nothing. That's it. Just training. Now, let's talk about things that I would like to do as a modification on this Glock. First of all, before I forget, I would like to tell you, if you're a Glock owner, and you listen to the show and you want to support the show, I would like to remind you something that is really beautiful and very helpful. It's the dry practice kit for Glock. Okay, you can go to lovegunsfreedom.com. I'm going right now there. You will see pretty much on the right center of the page there is a link and there is also the photo, and it's called the Glock Dry Practice Kit. It's amazing. What you do, you remove the trigger group, and with that trigger group, you can do dry practice. You don't need to cycle the slide every time. For $69, buying that kit, you get also free shipping, and you also support this show. That's all I can say. take a look at that. There is also the video. I think it's really important if you have a Glock. Now, let's talk about what really I would like to do as modification. I did as modification as my Glock. Not much, but there are a couple things I would suggest you to do. First of all, there is one thing that I really like. Think about it. Your sights. I don't like plastic sights. Don't get me wrong. The Glock normally comes with a plastic sights work. I mean, I can do accurate things. I can do everything I want. I have no problem, okay? But if I could choose at least the front sight, I would like to have it with the tritium. That means it glows in the night, okay? Glows in the dark. Now, and normally these tritium sight, they are also made of steel, okay? But more important also, the rear sight, that is normally plastic too, I like to have the rear sight of steel. And you can get them, by the way, you can get this very affordable, okay? For example, this back rear sight, you can get them for about, let's see, on Amazon.com, $17, $16, okay? And then you can get, at least, of course, you should have somebody with a tool to be able to install it for you, or you can get a tool. If you have more than one Glock, if you want to change by yourself the sight, it's very simple. You can get a tool to change, the pushes, the sight for about $50. There are different types. That's the bottom line. So number one, I would definitely put a front sight tritium that you can see at night, and the rear sight doesn't need to be, but at least you want it made of steel. That would be the first addition I would like to do to my gun, to my Glock, okay? Number two, something very important, I like, for example, and I'll show you exactly what it is. It is called the adapter for the grip, okay? There are different types. What I like is the grip force adapter. And what it does, you will see when you hold the gun, you grip your gun, grip the stock. One thing I don't like normally about the Glock, at least I could have done a better job, okay? That you will see that the slide is kind of may touch the palm of your hand. The top of your hand when you hold the gun. Doing this, it really protects it. And if you go on Amazon.com, you will see it called the grip force adapter, okay? And it's really good. For about $20, they give you a pair. A little hard to install, takes a little energy, but with some help, a couple of people can do it easy or easier. And it really gave a lot of much better handling and gripping that gun. Seriously. One thing I was a little jealous about is Smith & Wesson MP, that they have that type of, grip. But anyway, that's something that I would like to give you as my personal opinion, the two most important things. Then if you want to get also something that I think is really important, by the way, the name exactly was the Beaver Tail Adapter. Okay, they are new grip force Beaver Tail Adapter. Okay, for $21 on Amazon you get a pair of two. Excellent. Then a little extra grip. There are different types, but I like very much the Talon grips for Glock. They're about $17. It's like some sort of adhesive grip that you can install yourself. It's pretty easy, and it gives you much more better grip on your hand, especially when you're sweaty or if you're bloody. Really helpful, really helpful. That's it. With few dollars you can make this Glock completely much more almost perfect. Can I say perfect? Yeah, for me it's perfect. Remember, I would not invest much money in a gun, in a handgun. If you had to put money, put it in the rifle. Okay, after all, the gun is just to fight the way to the rifle. That's the bottom line. But I told you, a couple things like that, you can have incredible upgrades to your Glock. Now, little bit of news. There is so much going on. The other day I went to Walmart. I like to go there, even I don't like them, but they got good prices on some ammo. And sometimes, if I had to go buy ammo from the enemy, I will do it. There is a ZQ1 on 308. I shot them. They are really good. Anyway, bottom line that I found out that Walmart now, they come out with this news that they don't sell anymore semi-automatic rifles. That means, used to have AR-15 or things like that. No mas, no more. That's fine, bastards. They want to say the excuse that citing low demand. There was an article on NPR that made me puke 3 times. I had to change my shirt. Walmart, thought to be the largest seller of firearms in the USA, will stop selling military-style modern sporting rifles. This is from NPR. And all the excuse they're saying because, decrease in demand. Such BS. But whatever, let them, what? Good, we're going to buy somewhere else. We don't care. Honestly, if you didn't buy your AR right now, you're a loser. You better move your ass, okay? That's the bottom line. And of course, meanwhile, you have, I don't even want to go mention the word New Jersey, okay? They want to ban now the most common anti-rifles, like I heard like the Mini 14. Give me a break. But the worst part I heard this week about the news, in North Carolina, after the Paris, terrorist ISIS / Obama-funded, ISIS attack, the Greensboro, North Carolina residents cheaply turned in their guns at police request. The bottom line was that the police, after this attack, asked the citizen, please turn your guns in, so we're gonna be all more safe. The pledge of no violence. Like if the bad person really is gonna listen to that, a evil, whatever it is, terrorist, non-terrorist, doesn't matter. Somebody wants to kill you is gonna laugh at this. I don't want to use bad words. I'm on the radio. I'm sorry. So anyway, that's the bottom line. Insanity. Now, don't you wish, if you were forced to be in a place like Paris during that attack? And as I said, many people say that this was never happened. Listen to the final hour. I'll give you my 2 cents on that, okay? But I'll focus now, regardless. Situation like that. Don't you wish that you had that chance, at least one chance, to have a gun in your hands instead of being there, sitting or laying down, begging for mercy of these bastards? I'm sure you wish. Every human being would wish to have at least a fighting chance, at least to have a gun. I'm sure the president of France had his goons or his bodyguards with him, like all these politicians do. Instead, as slaves, no, they don't want us armed. Okay, guys, don't go away. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. Please don't forget, go to my website, zanna.us, and download any of my songs for just 99 cents. I appreciate it. Ready for hour number 3? Much more. Bye.
Trying to kill, they eat off this plate, but all they feel is just hate. They hide in the dark, from within they attack.